signage that would, people at Christmas time, if you said, oh, just come Windcrest, they said, there's no sign telling us how to get there. So if that could just maybe be...
You might have a conversation. I think Mr. Castile and Mrs. Alexander have had a conversation with them, and so I'd encourage you to have a conversation with them about that.
Okay,
I think
thank you.
I am so sorry, I cannot read this name. 414 Balfour? That's the address. Okay, I'm sorry, I could not read the what is your name? Okay, thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for your service to Windcrest. We really need some really dedicated people, and I hope that all of you are. I'm very thankful, Mr. Jacoby, for the fact in the last newsletter that we had that you recommended that the council meetings be respectful. Those are not the same words that you used, but that we remain calm and respectful of everybody, and no name calling or any vulgarity. I would appreciate that from all of the members. Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to say that my husband was a CPA in a hospital in Des Moines, Iowa. When he brought things before the board, even though he was a chief financial officer, they would not allow them to do the work. They always went to an outside independent firm. And so I would recommend that we have a yearly audit by an independent firm. And not only that, when I went to the budget discussion over by the, over at the golf course, whatever it's called, I expected that we would have a written report of expenses and a written report of, revenue and expenses. And, we went over a little bit here and there. Well, where did you go over a little bit here and there? I think as a Windcrest resident, and I don't know how many other people feel that you are representing us, and I want to know what's going on in my community. Now, I have not been able to come to a lot of the meetings. My schedule is filled up as a retirement person, so I wish I had more time, but I want to be more involved. So, when a CPA firm, an independent CPA firm, comes, I would request that it would be a presentation from them, and that it would not be during this meeting like this at the council meeting. It would be for the residents of Windcrest, that we could ask them questions and we could get information about different financial things that are going on in our community. As far as the budget, I would like, and I'm requesting, that we have a budget request, a written, what is the budget for the year? And at the end of the year, I would like for there to be a report on the budget, expenses, income, the whole bit.
Mayor, time?
Is it time now? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Matthew Halbert?
Good evening. My name is Matthew Halbert. I have lived in Windcrest since 1975, when my parents moved into what used to be Windcrest Apartments on Wilman Way. In 1977, my father made a down payment on a $20,000 house on Weathercock Lane, one of the first 7 houses built in Windcrest, and to which my parents like to refer to as the Windcrest Historical District. My brother and I attended Windcrest Elementary, Ed White Middle School, and Roosevelt High School. I can remember every Christmas during the break waving to Santa Claus and the Windcrest firemen as they drove down the street tossing us candy. I remember the time my friends and I were playing football on the street, and we heard crackling noises coming from a neighbor's house and ran home to tell our parents. In minutes, our Windcrest volunteer firemen showed up in gleaming white trucks with bells and sirens blaring, and we watched in awe as our heroic neighbors worked professionally to put out an attic electrical fire. That house was repaired and still stands today, and I bet the current residents don't even know that it was ever on fire. I remember the time my mom called 911 because my father was feeling dizzy after mowing the lawn. Windcrest volunteers showed up within 3 minutes and before the ambulance. Despite their best efforts, my father passed away after having a left anterior descending coronary, which is almost always fatal. I moved back into my mom's vacant house in 2005 and began fixing it up and have been living there ever since. Almost daily, I hear the sirens of the Windcrest Volunteer Fire Department, and I'm reminded not only of their service as firefighters, but as our neighbors. That is why I'm here to speak to you today. I want to know why experienced volunteers and neighbors can simply be dismissed from service with no cause or explanation. It defies everything I have learned about community from growing up in Windcrest. I want our award-winning Windcrest Volunteer Fire Department to be what it has always been, a shining example of community at its finest and an example to our children. I want to thank all of you here today for your service to your community, as well as those who have served your country. In that spirit, I want to ask that you search your heart and do what you know is right. Please follow the wishes of your residents and neighbors and keep our local heroes. My younger brother, who has worked as an elementary school teacher, coach, and vice principal, teaches lessons every day that were set by the example of residents in Windcrest when he was growing up. Years ago, just across the street, I learned to look those I disagreed with in the eye, smile, shake hands, and move forward despite our differences. Thank you.
Lou Miller.
Good evening. Mayor Reese, City Council, staff. My name is Lou Miller, and I serve on the board of the Windcrest Economic Development Corporation. I've also been asked to serve as chair of the newly created Planning and Special Projects Committee of the WEDC. And it is in that capacity that I am here before you today. First, I want to congratulate you and the leadership of Windcrest for the success we have enjoyed in economic development. The partnership of the EDC and the city is strong and working well. We're focused on growing and retaining businesses, making sure we present the best business case for Windcrest. Along with business costs, labor, real estate taxes, infrastructure, and market conditions, businesses take into consideration the business climate, permitting, regulatory process, and the stability of our local government as they decide where to invest and continue to do business. The city does an outstanding job in cutting red tape and working with businesses, and we believe that overall we have a good business climate and a good image. As you know, we're working with a senior living community that could invest $80 to $100 million in Windcrest. Outside of rack space, the single largest project this community has ever worked on. While citizens are entitled to question their leaders, including recall petitions, we would ask you as the leaders of this community to minimize the noise and present a stable and predictable climate and a government. We're at a critical point in our development with the many companies considering the site at Eisenhower and IH-35. And the EDC is working with the new owners of the Four Winds office building to try and attract new tenants, as well as negotiating the options that Rackspace has when they discuss where they're going to put or keep their headquarters. A united and stable front from the city government can greatly help us retain and attract a new investment and keep the momentum Windcrest has built in economic development. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your support. And thank you for everything you do for Windcrest. Thank you.
Liz Dick.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members, staff. Thank you again for all your service. On Friday, January 19th at 11 a.m., I submitted 4 petitions to the City Secretary. 3 of the petitions were for recall of council members Jacoby, McFall, and Shelton. The 4th petition was a referendum to stop the action of the council that formed the Bugle Crew. Petitions had over 460 signatures of verified Windcrest voters. We verified them by including voter ID numbers from the Bexar County, their birth date, their address, their printed name, and signatures. With all the info provided, I am sure the petitions will be certified by the City Secretary and the City Attorney within the 10-day period. The charter allows for 2 options for council members up for recall: resign or request a public hearing. After hearing, they have 2 more options: resign, or it will move forward to a vote of the citizens. Waiting for the hearing will not change the need for the election. Because of the time constraint, I would think it would be prudent and necessary, once the petitions are certified, for the City Secretary to add agenda item for February 5th council meeting, so the council can order a recall election for the next regular election scheduled for May. The 5 days waiting period for them to request a hearing would be the February 5th at 5. So we would know then whether they want a hearing or not, but it will not change the outcome. They'll either resign or needs to go forward. The referendum would already go forward if the petitions are certified. We need to contact Bexar County as soon as possible. I think the deadline is February 16th. Thank you very much.
Liddell Conger.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and the City Councilman. My name is Liddell Conger. I live at 454 Spaceway, and I was one of the ones that signed the petition. I tracked down 2 of the people who were organizing the petition because I wanted to make sure that I got on that petition. I called every single person I knew or could think of in Windcrest. My parents moved to Windcrest in 1964, and they had never experienced the decisiveness, the divisiveness that exists in Windcrest today, the animosity, the rudeness that goes on in some of our city council meetings. And it just absolutely boggles my mind at how the 3 city council people that we're trying to get recalled, that they can sit up there. I don't know how you live with yourself that you act as rudely as you do.
Please don't address, you're speaking to the, so please don't point out people on the council.
Thank you so much, Dan. I appreciate that. But anyway, I would love to see us take our city of Windcrest back. I'd love to see us have a cohesive unit going forward in trying to make this city a better place. I'd love to see the speeding laws enforced. That I have worked on this project for years and have gotten nowhere with it. Obviously, it's not something that's important. 20 miles an hour is 40 or 50 or 60 on Mid-Crown. Believe me, it happens. Nothing is done about it for years and years now. But I want to thank you for your service, each one of you, and I hope that each one of us within the citizens and the Windcrest City Council, that we have our city's best interests at heart.
Don Kraus.
Good evening. I'm Don Krause. I live at 661 Richfield Drive. I've lived in Windcrest since 1984. I've practiced law in San Antonio for about 42 years. Over the years, I agree with City Councilman who believes that we should worry about the reputation of our city. Over the years, I've been concerned on several instances. I won't go over all the negative things that have happened in the past. My law firm happened to have the opportunity to be involved in the horrible situation with the Canes and that litigation. There have been other things over the years that have been an embarrassment, and I am concerned about the reputation of our city. Over the years, I've had my friends and associates complain to me about Windcrest. I don't go to Windcrest or Selma because they're speed traps. I don't want to come see you. You come see me. I think that's a negative thing to happen, for that to be what our city is known for. I do not believe that the revenue justifies that. There are other things. I had my contractor, when I had my house remodeled, tell me that it's the last time I'm taking a job. It's my first time to take a job in Windcrest, and I was warned by other contractors that I wouldn't like it, but I can tell you right now, I'll never do another job in Windcrest. Those are serious, in my opinion, occurrences when we're worried about the reputation of our city and countywide. Another thing that concerns me as much as any of those is sitting in my living room and watching on the 10 o'clock news a person laying on the asphalt being kicked by an officer of the city of Windcrest. I was humiliated. And I have heard no comment about that horrible incident other than the chief of police has stated that no disciplinary action will be taken. I think we have a right to know what happened. Why did you let something like that go by without disciplinary action? And how in the world do you think we can keep a reputation for our city when the whole county witnessed that on TV and they haven't heard a word about any justification? And I frankly can't see any myself.
Thank you, sir. Is Chief still here? I don't know if it's possible for you to have a conversation with him or not offline about that. I'm not sure what the protocol is, but you might reach out to the chief of police to talk about that. The only other thing I would ask people, and I think we've said this before, but you might not want to say what your address is, because unfortunately this, like funerals, if I say what my address is, and since this is being broadcast live, people know you're not home. So you might say I live on Winfield, or I live on something, but you might refrain from giving a number, just as a warning. So, yeah, citizen of Windcrest is fine.
Sherilyn Flick.
Sherilyn Flick, I'm a resident of Windcrest. At the last City Council meeting, I sat with a large group of concerned citizens. As 3 police stood watching. At that meeting, council members Jacoby, McFall, and Shelton showed their true colors and their inability to function cohesively with our new mayor and newly elected council members.
Again, I would ask you to, if you want to say a general statement about what happened, but please don't identify people.
Okay, our incumbent councilman. Important agenda items were tabled to distant future dates so that they knew council members could not represent their constituents and do the job they were elected to do. new council members were denied information about current city business. The incumbent councilman then voted to change city council meetings from twice a month to once a month. Clearly, they are obstructing business in the city of Windcrest, and this is unacceptable. The city cannot function or do business like this. You three incumbents continue to bring a dark cloud over Windcrest, a community you say you care about. You've cost the city money, and you are harming our city's reputation. You browbeat our citizens. You disrespect other council members. You do not have the full trust of our community. Since you obviously do not want to conduct city business, on behalf of the citizens of Windcrest, I am calling for your immediate resignations. You can do this the easy way and save the citizens a lot of money. And I hope you will choose the easy way. Thank you.
John Gretz.
John Gretz, Windcrest. I was at the 4 December meeting, but somehow it was not recorded. So I'm going to restate what I stated there. And John Gretz, Windcrest. I was at the 4 December meeting. It was not recorded. So I want to restate what I said there because I want it to be on file. How many of you remember the rack space fiasco with the annexation of property down to Eisenhower? Rack Space gave Windcrest $5 million to build them a road. Of that, $3 million was stolen. We had $17 million liability in land deals. The Kane brothers, Ronnie and Gary, were indicted for deception, theft, misapplication of fiduciary property, money laundering, etc. In my humble opinion, both of the Kane brothers should be in jail today. That is a story in itself, which I don't have time for now. However, if you read today's paper on Uresti Gary Kane and Nika LaHood, it's a sad state of affairs. However, I do have time to show how that fiasco got started. Although the corruption started a bit before Resolution 275 was ratified on 22 January 2007, it was Mayor Pro Tem Dan Reese who made the motion to ratify that resolution on that day.
John, not the names.
Okay, not the names. The Mayor Pro Tem at the time. Currently the mayor. That resolution gave the mayor, Jack Leonard, and Ronnie Kane, the city administrator, total autonomy to run the show. Council members were out, EDC members were out, citizens were out. It was all delegated to Leonard and Kane, period. Well, fellow citizens, you see how that turned out. Now that we have a new mayor, I will not forget the motion he made as our mayor pro tem that got Windcrest in major financial trouble a decade ago. It was the epitome of incompetence, in my humble opinion. I'd be remiss if I didn't laud the outstanding service of Mayor Alan Baxter. He got us out of the mess, period, and moved Windcrest to be a great little city with no debt, superb economic development, beautiful parks and green spaces, outstanding public services, low taxes, and developed an outstanding team of city employees who love coming to work, focus on customer service, and treat our citizens as family. And by the way, Windcrest was able to raise our minimum wage to $14 per hour several years ago by working smarter and cross-training people. And I just read recently that Goldman Sachs just raised their minimum wage late last year to $15 an hour. We're well ahead of them. Okay,
Mayor, time.
So with that, Mayor, I plan and commend all citizens to monitor your performance closely. You have big shoes to fill. Period.
Kim Wright.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before I get started with what I came up for, I'd like to address Mr. Gretz's comments. Yes, we were supposed to have learned from that, but apparently the current council hasn't, because they have now done the same thing with authorizing the city manager to go forth with the bugle crew formation, and that was above and beyond the $25,000 that he's allowed to do. So I want you all to remember that, who support the incumbents up here. As you know, 3 recall petitions and a referendum were submitted last Friday. I know that the petitions committee validated the signatures via the voter unique identification numbers. The recall and the referendum petitions will be certified. The charter is clear that the recalls will go to the voters despite any public hearing requested by the recalled council member if they refuse to resign. Windcrest citizens signed petitions citing council members Jacoby, McFall, and Shelton with violations of our city charter and ordinances. Do not interfere with the will of the voters. Place the recalls on the May 5th ballot. Windcrest citizens want our city back.
Colonel Giroux.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Lived here since 1980. First, I'd like to address Ms. Takis' comment. We did have a meeting with TxDOT right after the holidays, and we are working on getting those signs corrected. We're going to bring them out here, drive them through the area, show them what we have, and it should be corrected soon. I'd like to talk about the volunteer fire department. I've been a big supporter of the volunteer fire department going back about 20 years ago. You remember Danby, Ed Mazurek, and I going down there to the bakery, picking up 300 loaves of bread, 100 loaves of hot dogs, hamburger buns. Ed was a great guy. Matter of fact, he even made boxes so that when we picked up the bread would not be crushed. He's a great guy. God bless him. Anyway, I was a great supporter over the years until about, can you hear me? I was a great supporter for about 3 years, until about 3 years ago when we had this little problem with transparency. We're trying to get some information out of the volunteer fire department about fundraising. I talked to Merriman, I talked to Perez, and got the runaround. We finally got a little bit of information. But let me tell you about the folks that are trying to upset the current situation with Bugle Crew. Let's talk about the past history of that volunteer fire department. You're trying to bring back the good old boy system. In the past 5 or 6 years, we've lost 2 homes and 2 lives. At Crestwind, I was driving around one day on Citizens Patrol, and I talked to the next door neighbor who was there that night at the fire. She said, quote unquote, there was chaos until the fire department from Fort Sam arrived and they finally got things under control. They tried to lay a hose out to a fire hydrant, couldn't even reach the fire hydrant. Plus the fact that we had some indiscretion in the fire chief's office. I think some of you are aware of it. The dorm was a disaster. We had an individual who was the president of the association that lived there for 6 years. That was his permanent resident for 6 years. No leadership. Currently under Chief Witterman, we have some leadership. He's got control. He's cleaned up the bays. He's cleaned up the dorms. And everything's under standards. As you drive down Mid-Crown, look at the cars that are parked there. The first responders are there now when there's a fire or an incident to respond. Furthermore, during that time period, we had an incident where our fire department did not respond. I also spoke to Colonel Beaver, who had a home on the other side. That
Mayor, time.
Thank you.
Tiny Riggs.
I think y'all are well aware that I live in Windcrest. I've been here 47 years. I've seen good government and I've seen bad government. I'm now looking at the pits. I am aware that a petition was passed for a recall, and I have to tell you I'm in favor of it. I have never seen the council with 3 members wanting to rule the city like we have now. If the one side is in favor of something, they're against it. So I think it's time that we kind of cleaned out our council, and I would like to suggest to these members that they resign, save their families the embarrassment of a recall and the city the expense of it. So guys, do the right thing and resign.
Pam Dodson.
Pam Dodson, a Windcrest resident. It would make sense to explore all of our options when it comes to the repair of our streets. Before we go into long-term debt, i.e. a bond, which then increases everybody's taxes, we should consider what we can do with the revenue that already comes into the city. The EDC, the WCCPD, street maintenance, and an ad valorem offset are what uses 1 cent of the 2 cents of sales tax received by the city. Each one of these get 1/4 of 1 cent. I suggest we reduce the EDC to 1/8 of a cent and add the other 1/8 of a cent to our street maintenance. That still allows EDC to receive $250,000 a year, which is more than enough to pay the salaries of the EDC director and assistant, and still have money for projects. In the last few months, since they paid off the loan from the Rax Pace Street project, the EDC board has had discussions about investments and forming a committee to help them decide future projects. They are exploring how they can spend all that $551,000, even though state law has clear guidelines how it can be spent. In the past, the board has paid for 3 council members and at least 3 board members to attend the ICSC convention in Las Vegas. That includes airfare, $364 per person, hotel rooms, $213 a person, a per diem per person, and dinner out on the town with wives who came along. Most of the communities around us only send 2 people. The board also paid for the old EDC director to have a weekend, 2 nights, in Dallas at the Zaza Hotel for $500 a night. Of course, she had to be 21 to stay there. We all have been told a number of times that all of our commercial properties are under contract, so this would be a good time to make this reduction. The EDC was started in 1998. From the records I could find on the city website in 2011, their portion of the sale tax generated $367,000. In this current budget, it is $551,000. It's time to rethink the division of our sales tax and put it where it is needed most. Adding $250,000 to the street maintenance would then give the city $750,000 a year for street repair. If the city council added a little to that from the general fund, it could be closer to $1 million a year. We've tried this Let's Do All the Street project before with gold bonds, and it did not work well for the city. We could not afford any upkeep of our streets because all the streets' money were being used to pay off the loan. We just finally paid off that debt in 2014, and I would hate to have an additional 8 to 10 cents back on our tax, especially since taxpayers have heard over the last few years that the city's goal is for no property tax. The council should really explore this before going into debt. The Windcrest taxpayer deserves nothing less.
Rita Davis.
My name is Rita Davis, and I'm a former council person. Hodgepodge of different things I want to talk about. One in particular about the petition drive. And I hope this petition is honored, unlike the petition that was brought forth with regards to Kim Wright. She petitioned because there were not enough certified signatures. That petition, that was not her petition, but it was another person's petition, did not even meet the requirements of law. She took them that petition to court. She took the city to court, to the Fourth Court of Appeals, and was denied her justice. But petition drives, in addition to this one, if the council insists on putting us in debt, you do know the history of petition drives here in Windcrest, and especially with regards to bonds. This citizenry does not want huge debt. I've noticed even our rainy day fund, which now has a new name for it, has gone down. We don't have enough for emergencies should something happen. So, I am imploring you, do not get this city in debt. A petition drive will most likely happen. And remember the last petition drive on this a huge bond election where it ended up? It ended up in Austin. And it was a lawsuit that I was involved in, suing the city council. It went from there. We were countersued. Ronnie Kane took us to Austin, and we won. So think hard about getting us into debt again. With regards to the city council and open records, I was in the position that council people that are being denied open records was in when I was on council. And believe me, someone who is in a position now told me, Miss Rita, you're the boss. You can't be denied any record. You can talk to anybody you want in this city. Well, guess what? This person is now saying, oh, no, you can't have records. And 3 of the council people are backing him up. Transparency is the problem that we're having with regards to all of our problems here in Windcrest. When you start hiding things, people get suspicious, and then the trust is broken. So if you don't think that the state has a law that says you must.
David Diaz.
Hello, Mayor and Councilman. My name is David. I'm a resident of Windcrest. I just want to tell you that you're doing a great job the best way you can. I don't blame you for what's going on because some of these people don't have no idea what's really going on, but I'm sure they'll learn eventually. But, some of them are just ignorant or just plain don't know the truth. But, God help them. And all I can say is that I wish you the very best, Mr. Mayor and Councilman, in the future. God bless. Bye-bye.
That concludes non-agenda items. For agenda items, we have Kim Wright.
Briefly, I wanted to address the agenda item for the city manager's contract. Why is this on the agenda this evening? The city manager's contract doesn't expire until June 2020. Let me give you a history of the city manager's contract. On October 5th, 2015, council voted to extend the city manager's contract until June 2018. That was 18 months before it would expire. With a full year left on his contract, on May 1st, 2017, the council again voted to extend the city manager's contract for another 2 years. The vote at that 2017 meeting extended his contract by 2 years to June 2020. So why is the contract extension on the agenda tonight? The city manager's contract isn't up for renewal for 2 years and 5 months.
Pam Dodson. Bill Lambertys.
Yeah, the only thing I'd ask is, what is the agenda item so I can just help me make
She
sure.
did not list it an agenda item.
Okay, all right. Go ahead.
I'm Bill Lambertys and been a resident of Windcrest for 26 years. And I would like for the council to back off on dealing with our fire department for the time being, and I'll give you some reasons in just a minute. The citizens of Windcrest need to be aware that if we continue to beat up on the fire department, we're going to have a massive expense to $1.5 million to $2 million a year to run a fire department. I've been associated with the Windcrest Fire Department since its very beginning. I was in the County Firefighters Association and with the County Fire Marshal's Office for several years and served with one of the departments for a little over 25 years. I've had a lot of dealings with the fire department in Windcrest. I was a San Antonio police officer for over 25 years and worked this freeway out here on 35 and the surrounding areas around Windcrest and had a lot of dealings with the Windcrest Fire Department. And it was one of the best fire departments without a doubt, as good or as better than the city of San Antonio. They've got a tremendous reputation. And people that don't know anything about firefighting don't know what they're talking about. I've been to A&M to fire school and rescue school, and I've had a lot of dealings, and I know what I'm talking about. And you need to leave the fire department alone, and you need to regroup and think about what you're doing, because volunteer firemen, history has shown, are the best firefighters in the nation. They do a better job than full-paid firefighters. And I could go on, but you need to keep it in mind. And don't you all forget, you're going to have a tremendous increase in taxes if you let this fire department get away from us. Thank you.
Rita Davis.
Rita Davis, former council person. I'd like to address your legal representation on this bond. They're not bond attorneys, number one. They're friends and fellow classmates of our former mayor. These are the same people that charged $18,000 to stop Mrs. Wright's plea to the court with regards to the bogus, or not bogus, how do I put this? Not legal petition that was forced her removal onto the ballot. I don't think that we should be paying these people the fees that normal bond attorneys who do have experience in this field, rather than give it to some general attorney. Also, with regards to this bond, the bond is going to make a big debt, is going to influx into our city a lot of money. $7 million is what I heard. Why not let the citizens hear more about it? And the only way sometimes that we even get any information is to go through a petition drive to put it on the ballot and then have a campaign on what's in it. Right now, it's a pig in a poke. Nobody knows what streets, where, what, how much, and what oversight is going to be on this work that we're going to pay this much money for. Windcrest has a reputation of buying a lot of services that they do not oversee the finished product or the product in the making. On my street, Parkcrest, there was barely any chemical to harden the soil once they dug it up. It was like they came out with chicken feed and just threw it a little here and a little there. That's why the streets always collapse later on. They're never fixed permanently because they're done shoddily. And if you don't have someone overseeing the project, you're not going to get your money's worth. And sometimes you're not going to get the work you paid for. So I would recommend that you either hire someone or get someone trained, an eye to train it from the Public Works Department, or someone in the city to oversee any street maintenance that we have here in Windcrest.
Mayor, that concludes citizens to be heard.
Okay, the only one I had, Miss Dotson. Can you tell me which was it, Miss Dotson? Can you tell me which agenda item so I don't skip that? I'm just, which one is it? No. Okay, number 13, and then after the executive session. Is that correct? All right, thank you. Okay, item number 4, and I guess we can ask questions, but one thing we could potentially do is approve these unless there's questions. One possible action, and Mr. Castillo and I have talked about this briefly, about the potential for putting some things on the consent agenda. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read all 4 of these because basically they're in the months, and then we can either make a decision to approve them all at once, or we can approve them individually. Does that sound right, Mayor, Mr. Attorney?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Unaudited financials. Number 1, City Council will be presented the unaudited balance sheet year to date comparisons for the month ending September 30th, 2017. FY 2016-2017, City Council will consider approval of the unedited balance sheet year to date. Number 2, City Council will be presented an unedited balance sheet year to date comparisons for the month ending October 30th, 2017, FY 2017-2018. City Council will consider and approval of the unedited balance sheet year to date. Number 3, City Council will be presented unaudited balance sheet year-to-date comparisons for the month ending November 30th, 2017, FY 2017-2018. City Council will consider approval of the unedited balance sheet year-to-date.
Mayor,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, but I'd like to ensure that henceforth the terminology be accept. We can't approve it. We have to accept it or not accept it, but we can't approve it.
Okay, thank you. Number 4, City Council will be presented unedited balance sheet for the year-to-date comparisons for a month ending December 30th, 2017, FY 2017-2018. City Council will consider, and I'm just going to read it as it is, approval of unedited balance sheet year-to-date. No. Are you going to speak to us, or? Yes, I would. Yeah, just in case there's any questions, and if there's no, once we get through with that, we could potentially vote to approve all of them at once. Except, thank you.
Mayor and council members, the only objection I would have to what you just read, Mayor, is to clarify that the September 2017 number is subject to audit, and that we all remember that it will differentiate from the audit number that we hope to receive in March.
Are there questions?
I have several questions. Okay. One was back in November 27th. I remember my email. I asked to talk with you about financial stuff. You told me to talk to your supervisor. Your supervisor told me to he would get back with me. That was December 27th. Today's January 22nd. Can I get an appointment to meet with you? One of the things I'm really concerned about, well, I just need to get educated on a couple of things. And one has to do with the budget. And I realize the budget and the certified annual financial report, those are two different documents, and they're don't read the same way because one's kind of reverse. But I'd like to get educated on mainly the certified annual financial report. Can I get an appointment today? It's up to you, Mr. Steele. That's what I mean. Since 27th, can I get an appointment, please?
Just email us what date, and we'll make sure we get you on that schedule.
Thank you. Okay. Now, and I may have missed this in the minutes, but I tried to get back to my notes, and I could be wrong. But we have an underpayment of sales tax to the state. If so, what are these numbers? Is that true? We underpaid and we had to pay them some money back?
I wouldn't call it an underpayment. As the state of Texas goes through audits, there were 2 items with rack space in which double taxes were paid. This is one of the items that's not in the preliminary that we are currently discussing with our audit team.
Okay. About how much money are we talking about?
In total,
Yes, sir.
at this point, about $188,000.
About 188,000.
And that's divided between the general fund, the street fund, EDC, et cetera.
Yeah, I know I couldn't figure it out. It's one reason I want to talk. It's pretty complicated. So we don't have the September comparisons, right?
We have preliminary September comparisons. My fear is that since we will be receiving audited statements, hopefully in March, that we then spend too much time discussing differences versus the final numbers.
I mean, the council didn't get a copy of that, right?
I believe the council got a copy of it.
September?
Yes.
Okay, I got over 1,000 pages to read in 72 hours, so I'll have to relook at that. Thank you.
And may I interject here? We have not posted the preliminary September numbers on the internet yet. We had a discussion today whether we should post it or whether we should wait till the end of the audit.
Okay. And I want to get back to that in a little bit, but and you can help me if this is another thing I was going to do offline, but and we already talked about Gary Kane, but the bottom line is there was $200,000, a $200,000 CD that was placed in the IBC bank, and the district attorney basically said funds should remain at the IBC until the trial. The trial's a done deal. It's gone. It ain't happening. Where do I find that? Where is that $200,000 CD at, sir?
It's still at IBC. We, the city manager and I decided that we would not touch that money until the statute of limitations expired.
When is that expiring?
If I'm not mistaken, I think it's the 2022.
Okay. Now, several people have talked today about transparency, and I know y'all made a decision today, but I'm just going to go with this. Just prior to the elections, most current check registers were May 2017. After about a week after the election, the check register was uploaded June, July, August, September, and October. This tells me that mid-November, October check registers were available to be uploaded. Seems that check registers could have been could be updated monthly rather than every several months. Is that true? Can we update those every month?
I've had a discussion with my staff we are going to set a date 10 days into the next month, i.e. the January ones will be posted by the 10th of February.
So we'll be doing it by the 10th every month?
Yes.
Starting in February, sir?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That takes a lot off me. I'm going to hold on. I think I'm going to wait till a private conversation on this next one. Okay. Now I'm going to get a meeting. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
Oh, one more thing. You know, there's a new comptroller website, and you can get all this information. So, if you don't post it on there, it doesn't hide anything, didn't keep anything, because I can go on the comptroller's website and get it just as anybody else.
Sir, we have absolutely nothing to hide.
Okay, I'm just saying.
I've got 7 years of audits.
I'm not saying you're hiding. The only thing I'm saying is it's public information anyway.
I understand.
I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm just saying anybody can get it. So to make a decision not to, it's on there anyway. I'm just for your information. You may not know it because
I'm very much aware of it.
Okay, well, it's posted there. Our sales tax looks like it's going down. I mean, our revenues from the sales are going down. Is that true?
If you take out the sales tax adjustment, they've declined about 2%.
Okay.
Let me rephrase that. Overall revenues in 2017 declined 2% against budget.
Okay. All righty. And the other ones I can get with you offline. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so do I hear a motion that we accept the unedited balance sheets, unaudited balance sheets as noted in items 1, 2, 3, and 4?
I move that we accept the unaudited financial balance sheets for end of month September, October, November, December 2017.
I'd like to make an exception to September since that's in question, sir.
We still need to accept it at this point.
I'll second it.
Okay, so moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. That's 3. All opposed? 3-1. That passes. Item number 5, presentation. I think Mr. Busby is here. We will get to you. So, City Council will receive a presentation from Walt Busby regarding the senior living campus and other economic development projects. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome. Hello, Mayor and Council. I'm here to give you a number 1 update, and like to introduce, Robert Kalunga, who's also an associate of mine in this development. I'm bringing up the date on this. Is it on? I need to speak into it. Oh, there. It's kind of like being a rock star. You get real close, I'm going to just give you current conditions. We've been moving along rather fast, and we're very lucky with where we are. We've completed the preliminary property due diligence, which means we've looked at all of the dirt that's around there, and we've satisfied ourselves that the title and everything is good. And we've also talked to the WCID about water, and we satisfied ourselves that there's water available for us. And we have sewer through saws. We've also seen where that is around our property. There's no internal sewer water on the property, so this just all goes around the outside of our 23 acres in total. We completed a detailed market study. It took a lot longer than we thought. It's 192 pages, and I've furnished the city manager with a copy. And I'm sure if you get really bored and you want to read it at night, you can. But read just the first 10 pages. That's really where it's all about, because it came out very, very positive for the city, very positive for what's going on, and we are very happy to have that. We continue to work on the master plan for the property now that we have our market study. The market study really kind of gives us what's possible. So we have the independent living, assisted living and memory care building defined. We have the first phase of the over 55 apartments defined, and we have 36 cottages defined within the market study. So that would be the first phase of what we develop in this property. We're ready to get our cost estimates now. We're working with general contractors and the architects to get our numbers in line with taking them from budgeted numbers to more actual numbers, getting more granular in all the pieces that we're trying to put into the project, where it's going to be, how much it's going to cost, how much internal infrastructure we have to have, roadways, water, sewer, to connect these 3 initial buildings. We're ready to engage our architects, civil engineers, and landscape architects. We've already picked at least the civil engineers and the landscape architects. We're still looking at the other architects. We'll probably have different architects for different buildings. The assisted living and memory care building is almost like a hospital. It has its own certain requirements that the average guy might not know how to do, but we can find someone who builds apartments to do the rest, or builds houses to do the cottages. So those are the 3 we're trying to do. I want to go over some issues to overcome, and I think these issues have been brought up since I've been here. So I want to read you something that I've got from my investor group from Chicago, and I met a week ago with the mayor and Mayor Pro Tem, Robert Kalunga, and myself, to discuss these issues which were disturbing to our investors, and really wanted to get this out in the open and let everybody know where we stand on this. I'm going to read you what they sent me and asked me to do. We approach each of our developments based on 3 pillars: government support and leadership, reliable and favorable financing of debt and equity, and experienced development talent. Currently, government support and leadership is an area where we have identified concerns that cause us to stop and consider the impact on our development. When we approached the city last August, we found deep support and encouragement for our development, and we made the decision to contract for the land and begin our process. When we presented our project preliminary plan in November after the election, we again were overwhelmingly received by the mayor, council, and citizens in attendance. We think that support has remained strong. However, we have become aware of an undercurrent within the city that we feel has the potential to erode the trust between the citizens and the city council. This potential erosion of trust also destroys our third-party investors' confidence in the ability of the development to obtain city support for our development and consequently favorable financing terms from our investors. We believe city governments are tasked with providing leadership and establishing bonds and connections between all parties. Leadership is not about telling people what to do, it's about negotiating consensus and agreement on tough issues. The current recall effort to recall a majority of the council is one of those tough issues. The impact of that recall on the business community cannot be overstated. The change of the council in this way sends a chilling message to the business and development communities that representative government is not working. Our investors are very concerned. Hundreds of millions of dollars hang in the balance. We ask and we seek leadership from the mayor and council, enthusiastically supporting our development in order for our investors to move forward. Without this strong support, our efforts to bring this project forward are in jeopardy. I will entertain any questions from the council.
So you have my strong support, but the citizens, they make a decision. I work for the citizens. This is about the voters. And you have my total support. Ms. Pedrati, I've talked to her. You have our total support. And our citizens, it's an issue with them. So I support my voters.
Well, thank you, Mr. Archuleta. I appreciate that.
Add something to it. So you're saying basically the uncertainty and the recall and all is in question by the investors. How much money are we talking about? 80 to 100 million?
Yes, our first phase is going to be right at 60 million. The total build out will be right at 80 to 100, depending on which buildings we end up developing over time. First phase is 60.
It's already in jeopardy.
It is.
And, you know, I do appreciate, I'm not trying to tell anybody what they should and shouldn't do. I'm just trying to convey that there are ways for the council to show support of this without having to get into telling their citizens what they want to do. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something that when I come in here with my guys from Chicago in the first part of February, that I'm going to get a real good feeling about where we are and where we're going. This is a challenging project, just like everything else in Windcrest. I mean, it's a challenging project. This is a big, big project, a big win for the city. It'd be an excellent project for the city. I think it's in the right place. I think the citizens feel like this is the right project for the city. So all I'm asking for is a real show of force and a real way that in the next 2 to 3 weeks when we start coming in here to talk about packages and things we need from the city, you know, that's when we'll know. That's when we'll know what we have and what we don't have. But right now, our guys are a little concerned about the noise. I think Lou Miller said it right, the noise that's going on. It's noisy. It's not civil, you know, and this used to be a great place. I've been involved in this since the Canes. I mean, I came and helped the city get out of their trouble with the Canes group. I helped them buy the note back from, or had a group buy the note back from Capital One. And that's 7 years ago. And it's always been a city that I've admired for its stability and its ability to listen to its citizens. That's very good. But what I don't like is what I'm seeing now with certain blogs and pseudo, what do you call them, press releases that have gotten around and gotten to me, and I've sent them to my investors. They have to know this. They are terrible. This is not civil discourse. There's one reason to be you can agree with somebody or disagree, but you need to be civil about it. And when you're not civil, that's what scares investors. That's what scares money people. Money people like to have things quiet, and they like to have things with a known path to where they're going. And that's what we're looking for. However it can be achieved, we're ready to work with you in every way we can. But we have to tell you right now, we're at a stopping point. And until we get that support to the level that we think we need, we're not going to go forward. So,
okay, the recall is obviously on the majority of the council.
Correct. That's another problem. We've never seen, I've worked with 20 cities in my career. I'm 30-something years. I've never seen the majority of council members recalled. I don't even know if this is legally possible, but maybe it is. But it just sends a chilling message, because who's left? Who knows anything about my project?
Let me just say, when we met, the discussion was, you're looking for support. I think that's what you said.
Correct.
Earlier today also. There's no one that I have talked to who does not support this project. No one. So, and I need you to know that it is not tied. The support to this project is not tied to a recall. It's a separate issue. You have the clear support of the council now, and my sense is even if the recall happened, you would still have the support. It would be inappropriate for anyone to try to affect a recall based on this project. This project should go forth. You have the 100% support from this council, and as I said, I haven't talked to anyone, no one, who has said they don't support this project. This project. So, if that's what you're looking for, you have it.
Well, perhaps I could just ask that some of the noise that's out there. I mean, yes, everybody's got freedom of speech, but
okay. And part of our conversation was also whether I like it or not. I can't tell people what to do and what not to do. We had a discussion about some of the things, some of the nastiness that happens. Unfortunately, that's happened before in Windcrest. You can't stop people from putting information on Facebook or whatever. You can't stop it. So I don't want you to walk away thinking that that you don't have everything but 100% support for this project. And again, I have spoken to no one, and if someone is out there and they don't support this program, I would be more than happy to hear from them, and you and I can have a conversation about what that means. But no one has said we don't support this project.
Let me add something. Let me add something to that. I agree with what the mayor's saying, but if you've listened tonight, the majority of the people that stood up, the conversation was negative conversation. It was not nice conversation, and it had to do with the people sitting up here that are serving. If that goes back to your investors, they hear it, they know it. The recall is another one of those issues. Of course the recall will make a difference. If I'm an investor, I'm looking at that, and the investors, I presume, and the people that are going to stay in those particular areas and what they built are probably in my age group or maybe a little older or younger, whatever it is, and they want peace and I think serenity. When these type of things happen where we have a recall for whatever reason, I don't think that's showing support in the community. The support that we have to have that built, yes, but as an investor, I would definitely look at that because you get elderly people living in there. And I don't think they want to have the conflict.
Well, it just begs the question, if you start the recall on this, what's to keep the next group from recalling and the next group from recalling? It gets to a point where there is no stability, and, you know, there are other places we can go.
Are you familiar with the fact that we've had a recall within the last couple of years?
Yes.
Okay, so somehow in that history of events, your group decided to come here, knowing that we've had a recall. Okay, we've had some issues in the city of Windcrest with us versus them, but recall's not new. And you came here again. We should not be getting into a long conversation about recall because you came here to get the support of the council. You have it, and you have the support, I think. And as I said, if someone has a different opinion, I'd be more than happy to hear it. But you have the total support of this council, and from what I can tell, you have the total support of the community.
Well, that's really heartening, and I appreciate that. I did not mean to say that we were going to try to stop a recall. We can't, and I agree with you. The citizens have to be heard. You know, that's what America's all about.
Well, one of the things that I just want to stress, the recall, you know and I know, and the people out there in the audience know, it's always this side or that side, and it's not going to stop. And until we unite and become a unit, because right now, okay, they're trying to recall us. It's going to happen again. Somebody else is going to be recalled in 6 months. It's going to keep happening because we cannot unite and become a team. That is a city problem. And you're right. As an investor, I would be very reluctant. You can't say, well, just because. I wouldn't throw my money out there either. That's fine. My thing is, and the only reason I'm sitting up here is because of one individual that asked me to do it. And he's passed away now. It wasn't because of what I'm getting. You want $120? That's fine. There's a difference between progress and power. Some of us want power. Some of us want progress. And the way we go about getting it is going to make the difference. And I think right now, you either decide we can go. We can decide to either stay or go. Because you know, and I know, as human nature, we all want revenge. That's bottom line.
Walt, I'd like to add to, excuse me, I haven't received one negative comment about the senior living facility. From what I've heard up here, from what I've heard from citizens, everybody's for it. But you and I can't tell the investors what they need to look at and how they need to consider it. They're going to look and decide for themselves. And I don't know it, but I feel sure. And it won't be me being a part of it. But if there's a recall, there'll be another one following it. I'd bet on that.
Well, I think what I came here tonight for is to hear just what I've heard, okay? And they're online. They're watching this in Chicago. So they wanted to hear all of you go on record and say this. It's all they have right now. And, I've known most of you, and, I've been here a long time, and I've done a lot of things, and we've never had any problems getting it done. We always find a way to get it done because the city really wants to get things done like this, and the 27 acres down on the other end, the last piece of the Kane property. So I'm willing to do whatever I need to do, but it was important for me to be able to come here, express this, and hear your expression back to me and that I can tell my investors, because I can't just write them a memo and said I went to the meeting and that everything's okay, because they're just going to go, what? Who said what?
Does that mean that Mr. Wynn would lose his money too? on the project on the land that he sold?
Well, we haven't bought the project from him, so unfortunately, yes, if we don't go forward, Ms. Dabby and Mr. Wynn don't get to sell their property. But we're coming up on a critical path where we have to start paying money to keep that contract alive. Yes. So we want to be sure that we can now get in and start talking to you and have some serious negotiations regarding how this thing's going to lay out and what's really going to happen. And if I feel like I can get your support and we can have some good meetings and we can sit around a table and all figure this out, we'll get there. I'm very...
You will find no roadblocks from the city of Windcrest.
Yeah. Sir, and I'll leave
we
you
are
with...
on board and we're ready to go.
Sir, and I'll leave you with this. Sir. My final comments. We're a divided city, but there's not one person in this city that won't work with you and do their very best to make this happen. But I want to leave this one comment with you. Government is a trust, and the officers of the government are trustees. And both the trust and the trustees are created for the benefit of the people. Henry Clay.
Let me
totally
just add
agree.
something real quick. For all of us here that live in Windcrest, I've been here now over 30 years. This is the biggest thing that we have ever. And for whatever reason, if it goes sour, 80 to 100 million, besides maybe rack space, is the biggest thing that we've had. And I think everybody should think about it.
Well, I'm hoping it has the momentum, because that's what I think we can bring to here is the momentum to push this thing and get it going. It's going to be a signature project for the city, along with the rack space building and this and what goes on down on the 27 acres. Is going to define where Windcrest is as a real city, because not many of the cities, Garden Ridge, a lot of cities don't have this. They don't have the land, they don't have the population. You know, the demographics are excellent just within the city of Windcrest for what I'm trying to do. So I think it's the right place, the right time. I appreciate your comments, and I look forward to working with you on this, and I will certainly communicate this back to my investors tonight on my way back to home.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item number 2, the City Council will receive presentation by and discussion with the City Engineer's Financial Advisor Bond Counsel relating to calling a May 5th, 2018 bond election to finance street improvements. Mr. Castillo.
Mayor, citizens of Windcrest, the next few items that are coming up are all related to the potential bond election of 2018 in reference to the what we called street CIP, capital improvement projects. And we have been in discussion. There's about 3 streets that have been in discussion in the past. We've talked about Mid-Crown, we've talked about Crestway, and we've talked about Eagle Crest Boulevard.
Eagle Crest Boulevard?
Well, it's 4 lanes, so I imagine I got to make sure we call it the right. And I do know that because it was on the ballot in November, we've been working diligently to try to bring forth substantial information so that the mayor and the council and the community can make some wise decisions on this. And been talking to Mr. Young here recently and everything, and we have provided you some information in there. Those numbers that you see there are kind of vague, but they do address some of those three streets that we've been discussing. And with all that said and done, I know that I have participated in a couple of these bond elections in the past. When I first took on city government back in, I think it was 97. We were going for a bond election on a Parks and Recreation project, and the election was in May, and I started working in January, and we were pushed so hard on trying to make this happen through the clock, and eventually it did get on the ballot, but it did not have enough support from the community for it to be successful. 2 years later, I was very fortunate that I participated in another bond election, but this was related to the school district. But before it became to the bond election, they had committees. They grouped individuals together. Like I said, I was in the city government, and I was part of that, and it was successful. Of course, two different type of bond elections. One had to do with quality of life, and the other one had to do with somewhat education and partial quality of life projects also. My comment to you all, and I think Mr. Young could probably elaborate on this, the numbers that we have showed you here, I guess, could probably use a little bit more fine-tuning. And I would recommend to the mayor and the council that we establish the committees and do everything that I think are the essential tools to make some of these things successful. And that would also carry on to your investors, like the ones that we were discussing here a little while ago, to show that there is unity and you are moving forward and you're not making just spontaneous decisions as we go. And but at the same time, you would be listening to the voters that said put this on the ballot. It should give you ample time if you would move this to the November ballot. And that is my recommendation. I'm surprising everybody here, you know, the financial advisor, the bond counsel, everybody here by saying that. But I think that's something that might be taken into consideration. Now, it's up to you all to make the decisions here. I just wanted a few minutes to speak my mind and with my personal experiences, and y'all could take it from there.
Mr. Mayor, let me make a motion on this. I make a motion, and this is for the interest of the city, I believe. I make a motion to move the May 2018 bond election to November 2018 for the regular election in this city. Remember, the bond issue that was put on, it wasn't put on for us or the those of us that are still here as council people. It was put out for the citizens to say yes or no, did you want a bond? We didn't say we want the bond. It was put on, if you recall, it was put on there to say, do you want a bond or don't you want a bond? It turned out to be 61 for, 38 against. I looked it up. I'm just saying, but we did not, we, being the current council people and whoever else was there, we didn't say we want a bond. We said, you know what, we're going to let the citizens decide. And we put it on there and said, do you or do you not? At this particular time, with everything that's going on, then my motion is to move it from the May bond election to the November election.
This is kind of a point of order. We haven't established a date for.
No, sir.
So there's no reason for a motion, I don't think.
I mean, that's y'all's
because
protocol.
we haven't made a motion to make an election in May, right? We haven't taken any action to have the bond election in May.
Yes, the attorney.
I'm not privy to your prior procedural elements, but normally when you're going to do a bond election, you have to call the election by ordinance. If you haven't passed an ordinance to call the election, then you haven't set it, but you can set a proposed target date and say we want to look at getting a bond election or something for this election date or that election date, and you move forward towards that with collecting data or you know, advertising or whatever it is you want to do. And so if what was previously decided was, yes, you want a bond election, the next election is May, everyone kind of thought that was assumed, or if someone made a motion that it be on the May. But I think what Mr. Jacoby is saying is let's target November. That's a proper motion.
That's fine. I'm just saying that we don't need to undo something we haven't done. We have not set a date. The May thing came up because on the ballot it said, would you consider a bond, and it did say May.
Yeah.
Now, I know we weren't tied to that. Part of the reaction that we started was that's what the That is what the ballot said.
Ballot said.
The ballot said May.
That's correct.
But it was just my term, a straw vote. Would you consider? Didn't commit anybody to anything. So I guess my point is that there's no reason for a motion to move a May election that has not been set.
Well, if you look at number 2 under the presentation, does it not say bond council relating to calling a May 5th, 2018 bond election?
That's a presentation.
Yes.
And if you were to go to the resolutions and discuss an act, we would set a date for May.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my point is that if we don't do those, basically resolution 1 through 3 and discuss an act 1 and 2, we haven't said anything. We just don't do those items. That's right. That sound.
Is that on? All right. Procedurally, he's made a motion. It's on the floor. You can have discussion on whether or not it's valid or not, but you got to have a second before you actually go into that.
So, okay. So let's restate the motion. The motion is to not do the May bond.
I think the motion was that you move the date that is proposed
from May to November.
From May to November. Yeah, I believe
is there
that
a
is the
second?
motion.
I second it.
Okay. Now we have discussion. There is no May thing. We don't have anything in May.
Well, that's on the next. That's later on in the resolution. Now, technically, you could say we will bring that discussion up at that item, and when you come up to that item, his motion can actually adjust the item. Right now, you're talking about a presentation. He made a motion regarding it. It can be moved to when you can either take that resolution item and move it up now and discuss it, or you can consider a vote on that motion when you're considering the resolution.
Let's bring it up.
Okay, so then but do we have to vote on the motion?
You have a motion in a second, so yeah, you got to vote on the motion.
Okay, so we're going to vote on a motion to move the May bond issue that really isn't a bond issue until November. All those in any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed?
I abstain.
Okay, so let's just go to finish this item up then. Resolutions 1, 2, and 3 had to do with. I guess what we'll do is at this point we would probably just, since we're not going to do this, it would probably just die for lack of a motion, because no one's going to make a motion that we do this, because we're not going to do it. So, resolution number 1: the City Council will review and discuss, take action on a resolution number 2018-615R, resolution approving a proposal and agreement to provide bond counsel services for McCall, Parkhurst and Norton LLP for the Post Street improvement bond election, and authorize the city manager to execute said argument. Is there a motion? Hearing none, we'll go to the next one. The motion it dies for lack of a motion. Number 2, City Council will review, take action on resolution 2018-652R, resolution approving a proposal and agreement to provide financial advisory services for a proposed street improvement bond election, and authorize the city manager to execute said agreement. Is there a motion? Hearing none, it dies for lack of a motion. Number 3, City Council will review and discuss, take action on resolution number 2018-653R, resolution approving a proposal and agreement to provide engineering services for the proposed street improvement bond election, and authorize the city manager to execute said agreement. Is there a motion? Hearing none, it dies for lack of a motion. Go to discuss and act. Let's see. Discuss and act. Item number 1. City Council will review and discuss and take action on a draft ordinance for the calling of a 2018 bond election. Is there a motion? Dies for lack of a motion. Number 2, City Council will review and discuss and take action on calendar dates for 2018 street improvement bond elections, special city council meeting. Is there a motion? Hearing none, it dies for lack of a motion. So we have, I believe, handled that whole. Any other discussion? Okay.
I'd like to add, if I may, I know in the citizens to be heard, we had at least 2 speakers that very plainly said that they were against the bond. We also had one say that we don't have enough information. I have been accused of being for the bond. There is not one person in here, including my wife, that has ever heard me say, I am for the bond. I was for the people to decide. That's why it was on the last ballot. I think something of this importance should be decided by the people, not by 5 or 6 people up here. I have no problem with working through a city budget, with doing those things with routine, normal business, but when it comes to bonds, I think the citizens need their input through the ballot. And yes, I'm very familiar with what happens with petitions. I was in Austin when we went through that before myself. And I signed that petition. Not, in fact, Jesse Bagent and his wife that brought that petition wanted us to sign the petition, and I said, I don't know if the city needs a new city hall or not, but the people deserve the opportunity to vote.
Perfect. Thank you. I would say that, and again, I'm trying not to get off a task on item number 2 about this bond. There was no intention of anyone ever having a bond that was not voted on, and so the thought was to potentially do something because of May, and I understand where we're going. Okay, presentation number 3. I believe they're not here.
No, sir.
Okay, we're not going to go to 3. Item number 4. I'm sorry. Ordinances. Item number 1. City Council will discuss, take action, ordinance 2018-618FO and ordinance amending the ordinance 6118B enacted on February 1st, 2016 by changing the regular city council meeting schedule. Mr. Shelton.
If I'm not mistaken, that's based on our city attorney's advice that due to that being a part of the petition that we shouldn't take action on that one way or the other.
Not this.
No, number 1, you can take action
we're on number 1 about changing the ordinance to, if you remember, this was
That's for changing council meetings.
City council had decided to go to 1 meeting a month.
You're going through the formalities on this one.
Sorry about that. I move that we pass this on the first reading to take action on ordinance number 2018-618F, an ordinance amending ordinance 618B, enacted February the 1st, 2016, by changing the regular city council meeting schedule to the 3rd Monday of the month for the charter.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Discussion.
Yes, sir. This is the first reading.
That's correct.
Right? Okay. It takes 2 readings, right?
That's correct.
Okay. We're going to go to 1 meeting a month. So when we do an ordinance now, we can't do an ordinance in a month. It's going to take 2 months to do an ordinance now. That's not transparency to me. That's not doing due diligence to work. But do one this month. We're going to do one next month.
Is your microphone on? It is now.
Yes. This is the first reading. It takes 2 months. It's going to take us 2 months to do a reading now, to get an ordinance passed. That's just no word for it. I really think that we only can pass an ordinance every 2 months. We need to have, it's just, this is the first reading. Next one will be next month. Every time we do an ordinance, it'll take 2 months to pass an ordinance.
There is always the possibility of special council meetings. And When I came on this council, there was one meeting a month. That's all we had. However, they used to pass ordinances by reading it twice the same night.
Okay. Well, let me ask this to legal, because I'm not legal. Ever since I've been in Windcrest, they've had 2 meetings a month. And let me ask legal here. Can you do 2 readings in one night? Can you do a reading on a regular session and then have a special session for a reading?
You used to be able to. I don't believe you can
I
anymore.
don't think you can do it no more, sir, by law.
And so the way the statute has been changed, you have to have a reading on a separate date. Now, you can
A
have
regular meeting, on a
well,
regular
It has
meeting.
to be a separate
You
date.
can go to the next day.
You can go to the
if
next
you want
day.
to.
Go 72 hours.
Yeah.
You can't do it on a special meeting.
Yes, you can do it in a special meeting.
Okay.
It's just 2 readings that has to occur, and each
So we have
reading
to have
be on
a
separate date.
special, okay, have to have a special meeting to do it.
You can do it the next day if you got to post them both at 72
Yeah,
hours.
you post,
post
them both.
one
So
and you
if
post
one on Thursday, and then you post the
Yeah, you
agenda on
just post it the
Friday,
next day.
or the Monday and the Tuesday.
And we got a motion and second.
We do, and we're having discussion.
Yes.
And while I'm sure this is probably not going to happen, I can tell you we have 34 items. 34 items on this agenda.
Let's hit it.
We have had 2 city council meetings a month for years. I visited several mayors in the area, and they have 2 city council meetings in a month. Going to one city council meeting will slow things down, and I don't think it's in the best interest of the of good order.
Let me mention something on that, Mayor, because when Mr. Sheldon and I were the minority council people and the other 3 people were the majority, those particular council people even suggested at that time to only have 1 council meeting a month. I recall it. It's on the video.
Okay, that's fine. Any other discussion? No. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? It passes. Item number 2 is just so that we're clear. I just want to read an opinion from our attorney, just so that we are going to skip that item. Actually, we're going to skip a couple of items because I had asked Mr. Brennan to look at whether or not we may proceed based on the fact that there is a referendum. He said, and I lost the email. Basically, what he said is that you have it. Mr. Brennan said, Mr. Mayor, you contacted me regarding items on the January 22nd, 2018 council agenda pertaining to ratification of Bugle Crew Fire Protection Agreement and repeal of sections 1232 and 1233 Code of Ordinances since the city has received the referendum petition affidavit concerning Bugle Crew in section 12.3 of the Code of Ordinances. Section 7.05 of the city charter postpones, enforcement of ordinance or other action by city council which is addressed by a referendum petition. City secretary and city attorney will have 10 calendar days to determine if the petition is satisfied in the requirement of the charter. Signatures in support of the referendum petition were submitted to the city secretary on January 19th. Therefore, the city secretary will have until January 29th, 2018 to certify the petition. If it's sufficient, the committee will have 10 days to fix it. Once it's certified, then it will be submitted to the city council at a regularly scheduled meeting for further action. Mr. Brennan's opinion was that based on our code, that we should not take any action on anything to do with the ordinances to do with the Bugle Crew. So item number 3 or 2 under ordinances is I guess, I don't know if you table it. We table it.
It's suspended.
Suspended.
Until
Okay. Suspended. All right. Item number 4. We did 1, 2, and 3 regarding the bond. Item number 4, City Council review and discuss, take action on resolution number 2018-654R, resolution authorizing creation of a safe exchange zone at Windcrest City Hall to help and assist citizens to safely broker transactions with strangers. This came with Mr. Castile and Chief Ballou. So.
Mayor, Council, I felt for some time it was important for us to establish a safe zone in Windcrest. We've had many discussions, the city manager and myself, regarding a location. Here at City Hall, the part of the area in the City Hall facility is under surveillance 24 hours a day by our dispatch. And we decided at that point that we could place a safe zone here at City Hall for people to conduct e-commerce transactions, child custody exchanges, and feel safe about doing it. So it's uncertain times, and it's dangerous for people to conduct some of these transactions, as we've all seen in the news that various other cities have dealt with, and I thought it was important for us to do that. So I bring this before you to get your approval to do this.
Let me ask you a question. I hear what you're saying.
Could we just do something, and this is procedural. Could you make a motion to accept this, and then we'll have discussion?
Okay. I'll make a motion to move forward with regulation number 2018-654R, resolution authorizing the creation of a safe exchange zone at the Windcrest City Hall to help and assist citizens to safely broker transactions with strangers.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, now discussion.
Okay. Could you, I'm buying a chair from this lady or something. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm not trying to be minute or whatever. Does it go to that, or is it just cars and auto and houses, or?
It could be a camera, it can be a watch, any kind of e-commerce.
And both of us would have to come here.
You would set up a meeting
The other
and you tell
party
them.
doesn't want to come here.
Then I wouldn't do business with them.
Well,
I don't know.
Well, I don't think you've lost. I mean, as I understand it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. This is an area that will be designated. That basically, I'm going to know that there is going to be a coverage from the police. It's going to be marked that way.
Yes.
So that if I buy something, a chair or whatever, I know I can come here. Now, there's not going to be. I don't have to push a button or anything else. It's going to be. That's there. We both know we're under surveillance.
Absolutely.
And so if I don't want to buy your chair, and I don't want to go to a safe zone, probably not somebody I want to buy a chair off of.
Absolutely. You don't want to do it at your house, and this is a safe way to conduct those transactions.
Would I have to advise this person, like if we come here and say, listen, the reason we're coming here is because to be safe and.
But it's marked somehow, isn't it?
Yes, I'm going to show you.
Right. Okay. Okay. That's interesting.
The place that we're going to designate, just outside of the facility here behind me, there's a new concrete pad that was poured that will accept 2 vehicles, and that is going to be striped off, and this sign will be placed there. That area will be reserved for e-commerce transactions. So I think it's a great thing for the city and the citizens. They don't have to worry about meeting someone that's got other ideas on their mind, criminal activity, and take advantage of them. So when it's here, they're safe, and if the person doesn't want to meet you here, then you need to find another person to.
It's lit.
Absolutely,
is
yes,
this
sir.
Something that's. I mean, are we the first ones in saying this is great, or is
No, we are not. San Antonio is doing it. Other cities are doing it. I've been wanting to do this for some time, and I'm glad we're finally able to get this kicked off. And with your approval, we can move forward and have a place where citizens can feel safe and know that they're going to be safe. And we've got our communications center here, officers in and out of here, and it's also under surveillance.
They still do the, back in the day, I guess, do they still do with, for example, parents that are divorced or whatever, they drop off kids at the safe zone?
Safe. This includes child custody exchanges. Yes, sir.
Because I've seen some messes before.
Yes, and that will help alleviate problems that you see at other locations where we receive calls for disturbances.
Let me go one more point. I don't. We already did it, but I'm just saying. So, is there going to be besides you and I buying or selling whatever we do? That's it. I mean, you're not going to have policemen in here, are you?
No. No, there won't be an officer here, but we have it at City Hall as if we had a substation. We would have it at a substation, but police are in and out of here. This is where our headquarters is. This is our City Hall facility. It's under surveillance. 24/7 it's under surveillance, and we have dispatchers here that monitor that, and we have officers that are in and out of here as well. So, and with our response time, a criminal's not going to want to come to City Hall to conduct a transaction in Windcrest.
Cost-wise, we're talking about science and striping, right?
Yes, sir. Signage and striping, that's it.
Well, we did it.
Great idea.
Okay. Been moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mayor, Council. Appreciate that.
All right. Item number 5. City Council review and discuss, take action on a resolution. God darn it. I can hear myself. City Council review and take action on a resolution number 2018-655R. Resolution authorized purchase of a e-citation mobile electronic citation equipment accessories from Tyler Technologies for a total price of $58,648, and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute the contract for such purchase.
Mayor, Council, this has been a project that I've been working with the court on for over a year. It's definitely going to make the process a lot more efficient. It's going to enable the data to be submitted immediately from the officers in the field. It'll be uploaded to our encode system for our court, and it's going to create a much smoother process, not only for defendants having to come in and deal with traffic tickets, but it will enhance our the way we do business in the field. It's all electronically submitted, so you don't have to worry about paper copies, and we can also issue criminal trespass warnings, impoundment reports, things like that through it. It's state of the art, and we're real excited about getting this project going.
Is there a motion?
I move that we approve resolution number 2018-655R, a resolution authorizing the purchase of e-citation mobile electronic citation equipment and accessories from Tyler Technology for a total price of $58,648, and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute a contract for such purchase.
I second it.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any other questions or discussion?
I have some discussion, please. How many machines are we talking about?
It's going to be 10
10
machines. Yes, sir.
Okay. What's the warranty on those machines?
We've got an extended warranty through Tyler Technologies that also does our encode, and it's 5 years.
5 years?
Yes, sir.
What's the required maintenance on those?
It'd be software. There'd be an annual maintenance fee that goes along with this, and that's in the agenda. If you want to bring it up a little bit, Kelly, it's at the right in the bottom there. $46.25 per year will be funded through our municipal court for the software maintenance, the annual maintenance fee for Tyler Technologies to provide this for us.
And that's ongoing year in, year out?
Yes, that'd be an annual expense.
Okay. Do you know what the shelf life is on one of those machines?
Well, that's why we went with the longer warranty, to make sure we were okay on that. But, technology changes. It could be 3 to 5 years. These I feel, will take us into the next 5 years as far as our progress. It's kind of like computers. They do change. So we look at a 5-year span on 3 to 5 years.
5 years would be another $60,000, okay.
Not necessarily. They could last us longer. Absolutely.
I'm just getting.
Yes.
I'm just asking questions. That's all. Are there other machines out there you've looked at, or is this the only ones that you know about?
We have looked at others. Tyler is the leading edge in this industry. Also, they're a state contract, so we're guaranteed to get a good price on these machines. I want to add something else too. Not only is it a more efficient way to do business for the city, for the police and the court to work together, but it also adds a much more safety for the officers in the field, because all these, when they scan a license with this machine, it will automatically input the data into the machine, and it really speeds up the process, gets an officer out of the street and off the traffic stop quicker. So it will help maintain the safety.
Last question: are there any towns like Converse, Selma, or any of the other Kirby that use this?
All using ticket writers, yes.
These
Yes.
other cities are using it.
Yes, sir.
And you've talked to them, and
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, sir. They're well respected, well regarded. They're very tough machines. San Antonio uses these as well. Live Oak PD, several other PDs are using these types of machines.
Fair enough.
Yes, sir.
It's in the budget, right?
Yes, sir. Approved in the WCCPD budget.
Can
so
you swipe my card and pay my ticket at the same time?
not that quick.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? None? Okay, that
Thank you
passes.
very
Number
much.
6. City Council review and take action on Resolution 2018-656R, resolution authorizing purchase of one 2017 Chevy Caprice PPV police package from Codwell Country Chevrolet for the total price of $37,320 and authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute the contract for such purchase.
Yes, Mayor, Council, this vehicle will replace, it's on our fleet replacement program, and it will replace one of our 2012, our last of our 2012s, Tahoes. And we do have one Caprice currently in service, a marked unit, and this will be the second one. We'll continue with Tahoes, but this allows us a little bit more flexibility, especially with various size officers that we have, to allow them to do a better job out there in the field.
So does this replace a vehicle that you have that's old, or just
Yes,
an addition?
it replaces a 2012 Tahoe. Yes, sir.
Okay, and that one has a lot of miles on it?
Yes, sir. It's ready to go to pasture.
Okay, it's not something could be passed down to...
No, it actually, yes, and I'm working with the fire department to allow them to use that. I'm going to be scheduling a WCCPD board meeting in February to discuss that with them as well. But yes, the police department purchased it for the police department through the WCCPD funds. It was utilized by the police department, and it's at its end of life for police service.
So it could be used by the fire department for whatever,
It
including
could.
training?
Totally different area, totally different than actual police work. Yes, sir. So we have the ability at that time to auction it off, several things there.
Is there a motion?
One more question, please.
Okay.
Motion,
I understand it, but I'm
I
going to
know.
try
I'm
to
getting
do this the
tired.
way it's supposed to be done, which is we're going to do a motion in a second, then we're going to have
Understand.
discussion. So let's do a motion.
I make a motion to approve resolution number 2018-656R as read by the mayor.
Second.
All right, now.
This just, I think I've seen this. I was at the budget committee. This is already in the budget. It's already been a done deal with the budget. It's already paid for. It's not a new deal.
No, this was approved by the WCCPD board for FY 17-18.
Yeah, that's one of the questions. I thought I seen this in
Yes,
there.
sir.
It looked like old business. So this is actually just a formality. We got the money. It's been budgeted.
Yes, sir. But
Okay.
because it's over the 10,000, we do have to
Understand.
come to council for your
got it.
approval. Yes, sir.
Got it. Yes.
Any other questions? The only comment I'd make as a old and new and current fire guy, it's okay. So the fire guys get whatever you guys throw away. Is it?
Well, not necessarily, but mainly the fire department does do pursuits.
We should buy them something new at some point.
Absolutely.
Maybe a ladder truck. You got $1.5 million or so.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
So, any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand.
Thank you very much, Mayor, Council. Appreciate it.
On number 7, we are. What's the term you used?
It's suspended.
Suspended. Thank you. Okay. Item number 1 on discuss and act we have taken care of. Item number 2 we have taken care of. Item number 3 we have taken care of. Item number 4, City Council will discuss requesting open records, and this is my item. So I'll just mention that this is a work in progress. I had asked Kelly to work some sort of a graphic so we can begin. You're not ready for it, right? Oh, you're looking at me like you guys.
I'm sorry.
I guess what I was prepared to say is I don't think we're ready to talk about this item because we were going to talk about what that looked like. I think it was, unless you are, I don't know, but some graphic, some way of showing people the status of open meetings requests. So, or you.
I think we made a form. Yes, you and I had a discussion. We made a form, but we didn't go over it together.
No, I understand, but the form, I guess the form that I saw didn't give all the information we wanted. So I guess my point is I don't know that we're there. It's still a work in progress. So item number 4 is still a work in progress.
Okay, and Mayor, number 3, what was the outcome on number 3? If I missed that. discussing.
Oh, I'm
that
sorry.
now.
I went right past. I had bonds written on number 2, but I forgot. Item number 3. Thank you. Now I know why you're confused. City Council will review and discuss may take action on approving written minutes from the December 4th, 2017 regular City Council meeting, an update on the technical difficulties that occurred. Thank you, Kelly. I'm sorry that was for the confusion. So I guess what we need to do, I mean, we have this in our packet, so.
And I just need you guys to, we did just give an update. We did have technical difficulties on December 4th meeting with Granicus, who does our recording. It live streamed, however, it did not archive, which means download into our system, and then I'm able to upload it onto our website. We've been in discussion with them as to what difficulties were. At this point, Granicus is telling us that it's the video card. We've had our IT people, Barcom, in communication, what we're doing so that no matter what, we have this trusty GoPro here that will, and we're recording it now, so that if this does not work, they have not fixed the problem as we feel that they have, then we can still upload it. So just so you all know that this is being taken care of, because these are official minutes. So for now, we've done this. This has happened one time before, and I typed up minutes, and I need you guys to approve it. What I will do is put it in our document center, put it on our website, so that it can be, it'll be
these
documented.
These minutes are being put on the website for everyone to see.
Yes.
So the action we're going to take is to approve the December 4th minutes that you have provided in our packet.
If there are no objections.
Is there a motion?
We need to do a motion on it?
I think we have to motion to accept the minutes. Yeah, we have to make a motion to accept the December 4th, 2017 minutes as provided.
Make a motion to approve the written minutes from December 4th, 2017 regular City Council meeting, and update basically on the technical difficulties, and have these minutes be put on the regular City Council website so that everybody in the city can see that.
Okay, is there a second?
I second it.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes. I see where do we get these minutes from? They were typed up if we lost the video.
For me, as the city secretary.
Where did you get them?
I have notes. I keep notes.
Okay. The other question is, and I emailed, I did an email on this, but a citizen did videotape this. I understand it's unofficial, and I did ask this to be put on the city website. I got no response, got no answer, but can we put that on the city website as unofficial? I don't know. I never got an answer.
I think that's a bit of a slippery slope, only because
I'm just asking. I asked this and didn't get a response. So,
okay.
I mean, I don't know where else to discuss this at. And it could be. I'm just asking.
We can ask our attorney that if she took the minutes as such, is that official?
I'm sorry.
She took the minutes of that meeting because of technicality. Technically, it didn't work and we couldn't get the video. But she took the minutes and then.
Well, yeah. I mean, minutes have been taken since before the 1800s before videos, and so what the legislature does and allows you to do is the city secretary is supposed to take notes and keep track of everything, and then the audio or the video recording is an aid to the city secretary when she's preparing the final minutes for approval. And so if she doesn't have that aid, she just goes based off of her notes. You guys review it. If you think it's correct, you approve it. If you think there's a typo or there's something that's incorrect, then you talk about adjustment.
The only comment I would have to that is I don't believe we produce written minutes.
Our current ordinance states that the videos are our official minutes.
And allowed to adopt it that way.
Right.
But what she's saying is, because of the video, you don't have it. She's got to.
No, I understand. I guess what I'm saying is what you said was she would take the video and make written. She does not do that on a normal basis. This is abnormal because of some technical difficulties. So we're approving minutes that she provided written because we didn't have the video.
Yes.
What Mr. Archuleta is asking about is whether or not we could put in essence, an unofficial video that's on the internet on the official site. My sense is that's available for someone who wants to go see it on the
YouTube's
web.
free. Yeah.
And when I said slippery slope, I would not support putting something on the city website, even if you called it unofficial, just because it's unofficial.
There are lots of legal implications and First Amendment issues about what you allow to go on a website and what you don't. And so, if that's what you want to do, I'd ask that we talk to Mr. Brennan.
But again, my point is, it's
Well,
available. If somebody wants to type in the December whatever they can find it.
Yes, that's
it's
correct.
It's on the internet.
Technically, you guys are ahead of the game as far as technology-wise in your adoption of minutes. What's happening here is she's saying because it didn't video, you're actually going back to a little more old school system by adopting the written minutes.
Because otherwise we have nothing.
Right.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Passes. Okay. Sorry I missed your, Kelly, did she leave? Okay, sorry. You're a little shorter than everybody else. All right, that's a work in progress on item number 4. Item number 5, City Council will review and discuss, take action on requesting applications for boards, committees, task forces, appointed groups, or commission positions required to be filled by the Charter Code and previous council decisions. That was Council Member Archuleta and Pedrati.
This is the bulk of this is actually covered in. Let me see here. We're going to go to. I think there's a motion by somebody. Let me see. Was it? Lost my note there. This actually relates to item 15, so we could actually cover that in 15.
I'm not sure it's 15, but
well, let me see. Where's that at? It's one you put in there. I got 15 on here, but let me see.
There was an item, and I'm looking for it, of listing of, where was that at?
Yeah, it's.
I guess my point, though, is I'm not sure if I read this, what you and Mr. Pedrati are asking for is a system to provide applications for boards, committees, etc. And I don't know that we're ready to proceed with it. And I'm saying that because I've seen in other cities, for instance, you can go, and I can't remember if it was Live Oak, but there are cities where you can go onto their website, and if you want to be a part of any board, task force, etc., you fill out an application, and that data is.
And that was part of it.
Right.
And when, like I said, I know we're not there yet, but that's why I didn't bring all that up. But the other part of it's covered under 15. City Council will review and discuss and make action. That's going to be covered. That's a committee there, and we're kind of talking about that in 15
Okay,
anyway.
so there is no action on 5?
No.
Okay, all right. We'll go to number 6. City Council will review, discuss, and take action on preparation of policy concerning email between council members, mayor, in relationship with the Open Meetings Act. I believe we're not
That's
ready for
work
that.
in progress. We were trying to do something that's being done in another city. It's called the board.
It's a posting board.
Posting board. Yeah. But there's some glitches in there, even though TML is, I guess, supporting it. So we're going to continue to monitor it before we bring it back.
Okay. So no action on number 6. Number 7, City Council review, take action, or may take action on a committee, task force, appointed groups, board, or commission members who are related to City Council members by affiliation or I can't say that word.
We know.
Yeah, I know what it is. In violation of Windcrest City Charter, I believe we have an opinion from Mr. Brennan, right?
On that one, yes, I believe so.
Can we call it up?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is in reference to newsletter.
Well, it's in reference to any
nepotism.
Yeah, any nepotism issue.
And then it says in the charter that any service to the city. So if I volunteer on some event for the city, 4th of July, whatever it is, that's also service to the city?
If you're providing a service or
to the city.
An
For
activity
the city.
for
So
the
if
city.
the city has some kind of event and I or my family members decide to volunteer for that, that would be a service to the city?
I believe that was Mr. Brennan's conclusion, yes, sir.
I'm looking at the conclusion, but I question it because that would mean that, let's just say the 5 of us up here, and we all have relatives, I believe, and they have lived here for many, many years, let's just say, and they want to volunteer, which I think is a great thing. They can't do it because it's a service to the city. Like the YMCA, the Valentine thing is coming up. A couple of my daughters wanted to help out. I guess the way this is, then they could not because they're related. I just don't think that that's right. I think that if there's some money that they're making or influence or something, I could see that. That's just my opinion. But if I'm just volunteering like I did at the light up, giving everybody chocolate or whatever, and, you know, I don't know. I just don't think that really would. It's up. You're the
Well,
you're the man.
What he's doing, he's not actually talking about, whether this is a good idea or a bad idea. What he's saying is the words that's written.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is what they mean.
So then
So if you don't like the way the words are written,
can it be
change the
looked at again by you or somebody? What I'm saying is they also do the citizen patrol and some other things, so they'd have to get off of everything.
well,
It's a service.
It's what is written in the charter or the ordinance that actually is the restriction. And so not all charters have that kind of language in there. A lot of charters or the general law cities, you may have a smaller community, so you have lots of volunteers, and they're related somehow. It doesn't necessarily mean there's some sort of, improper, collusion or influence.
All services by any family member, even though we lived there, God knows, forever.
But the way your
Help out,
charter
they
is
can't
written
do
and
it.
your ordinance is written, that's
According
what,
to that,
yeah.
It seems like the big drawback is the word committee.
I'm interpreting Mr. Brennan's opinion.
Yeah.
And what he focused on really is kind of, I agree, he's talking about the committee, and he's talking about service, and he's talking about, what are they giving and what control from others is provided to the city.
At the newsletter committee, what I understand they do, they look at the grammar, the sentence structure, and everything else, and if there's a question of anything right or wrong, they pass it on to Mr. Brennan, and they pass it on to the city manager. So none of the people doing whatever they do, correcting my English because I'm not that good at that, but whatever they do, I don't see I know it's the way it's written, it's a service, but it's not anything where anybody gains anything with. I know that's not the point, but
yeah, and I don't disagree with you. There are lots of cities where that language is not in any of their ordinances because of those exact reasons.
Well, this whole thing, excuse me, but take action on committee, task force, appointed groups, boards or commission members who are related to city council members. When I look at our newsletter, on the back of it, there's a list of the organizations that are active, supported, whatever, in our city. It also, as Mr. Jacoby mentioned, lists the Citizens Patrol. Mm-hmm. And then we get into the boards and commissions, the EDC, Planning and Zoning, Board of Adjustments, WCCPD, Parks and Rec, the Windcrest Pool Manager, WCID number 10, and the Newsletter Committee. What's different? The only thing different, every one of those that I read, except the Newsletter Committee and the Citizens Patrol, are either elected, hired, or appointed by this council. In a later comment, I'm going to suggest that we change the name from the Newsletter Committee to the Newsletter Volunteers. This is ridiculous.
It is.
Is this? Let me ask you, Mr. Arcoleta, is this just something personal? Because apparently this has been going on for years and years and years, and all of a sudden it seems to be a taboo thing that our relatives, if you will, are volunteering as a service.
Well, I know one point of contention was sometimes there's articles in there that are political, like the comments you said about citizens. But it's not nothing personal. This was something Joan Pedrati mentioned, talked about, and I agreed with her. Okay, it's nothing personal, and this is a decision by the attorney. So, I mean, this is what the attorney is saying. All we're asking is for a decision, and this is not a personal business. This is what the attorney says, and she brought it up, and I agree with her.
And forgive my question, what decision for the, what motion is?
If I read this right, his conclusion at the very bottom, because he is focusing on the newsletter committee.
Mhm.
So two potential decisions he has provided, and we don't need to take either one of them, would be to. I was trying to read it when you. You did. I'm looking at. You were trying to make it bigger so I could see it, and you moved it. To conduct. Holy mackerel. Yeah, actually, when you started it, I was fine before you started moving. All right, stop. He provided two possible options, and again, we don't have to do either one. Conduct a review process by the staff without citizens' involvement, which meant basically in essence, the city manager is responsible for the newsletter, so it could be just done in-house, or continue the review process with citizen input as long as the citizen volunteers are not related, and I'm not going to say that word by affinity in the other word, to an elected official. Now, again, these are two options. We can take neither. We can take no action. If we take no action, nothing changes.
Can we do that? Take no action?
Yeah, you can take no action.
Unless, here's a question. Is there a motion to do anything?
Yes, I make a motion. Follow what the attorney said.
Okay, so which one? Because he gave us two options.
Let me get to it there.
Okay.
I choose the one with getting the citizens involved.
Okay, so okay, hold on. Just
continue the review process with citizen inquiry.
No,
transparency.
No. Okay, there are two options. One is the first one basically is to have the city manager do it without citizen involvement. Number two would be continue the review process with citizen input as long as the citizen volunteers are not related. So the second one basically is to allow citizens, but to exclude those relatives.
Exactly.
That's the one you want.
Yes, sir.
That's your motion. Okay.
Motion.
Is there a second? Dies for lack of a motion. All right. Number 8. City Council will review and discuss and take action on procurement of services from professional public accountant firm to conduct a forensic audit. Mr. Archuleta.
Yes, Mr. Halkula was tasked to bring us some numbers. Is Mr. Halkula here prepared for those numbers? He's going to see some cost estimates, I believe.
Okay, I'm going to speak from an accounting standpoint. Definitions by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. A financial forensic audit is for the purpose to identify financial criminal activity, prevention, detection, and recovery. A forensic audit as itself is usually used in a court of law in some manner or of that nature. Talking to two accounting firms, one being ours, generally forensic audits are done related to a specific item, i.e., we don't feel we're collecting all the money for traffic tickets. There's some suspicion that the contracts being signed for the city have collusion or nepotism involved. To do an audit of that such, probably will start at about $30,000–$35,000, and it's completely open-ended. You're asking them to investigate into the subject in detail, in depth, and wherever it takes them, they follow. To do a forensic audit of the entire city books instead of our regular audit would probably cost in excess of $500,000. And I'll add to that that if we do a forensic audit, I will request that we add to the staff within the finance department because of the time and effort required from our staff to pull records will take away from their everyday duties.
Can I ask a question?
Well, again, I'm trying to be very technical.
Okay.
So I would like to hear a motion. No. So is there any other information you want to give us before we?
No.
So I'm looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion for a forensic audit for the year, fiscal year 15-16, and to look at accounts payable, and also that's my motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Can I ask a question before we get that?
Well, at this point, there's no. I mean, I wish you'd have asked that question before the motion, but all right. So it lacks for lack of a second. Thank you, Mr. City Council will discuss and take action on cost of iPad and iPhone devices for elected office. Mr. Shelton.
I had that put on there as a carryover from last meeting, and I think that's overcome by events. I will say that we in no way intended to keep you from a phone. The council had voted in past years to compensate the mayor $600 a month, which, based on what I as a council person spend, I know won't cover your expenses, but I withdraw that item.
Thank you, Mr. Shelton. Number 10, City Council will discuss and take action on solar speed indicators to be installed at the 400 block of Fenwick and Windrock between Spindrift and Meadow Grove. Mr. Jacoby, Mr. Shelton.
Could I have our police chief come up, please? Because I don't know what you call those things. I saw him on the street, and they look very proficient, but I don't really know what you call them.
We should be kinder to him and maybe put them all in so he could leave. But
But the reason that I'm bringing this up, too, because I've had our constituents, if you will, complain that there's been lots of speeding going on in both areas. One of them on Fenwick, quite a bit, and then the other one where it says between Spindrift and Meadow Grove, that is when the people pass that four-way stop sign and go down toward the second pond with the island. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes, sir. And I have addressed the 400 block of Fenwick.
Yes. So could we get some of those?
Well, I have addressed the 400 block of Fenwick with officers at all types of periods of time, okay? Weekdays, evenings, mornings. The main complainant that was complaining about the speeders did send a reply email saying he apologized. He looked at his camera again and realized that it was speeding up, and it made it look like the cars were flying down the street, and they did not. But regardless, we do investigate every complaint on speeding. I did put officers out there. I personally went out there for over 4 hours, and during that time, the highest speed I got was 21 on Fenwick. So while we do have speeders. Don't get me wrong. The problem out there is not enough to justify the use of a speed sign there. However, I can definitely address these types of problems with a mobile sign, and we currently have one of those that's been in place for some time on Weathercock. But I am in the process of getting some bids on purchasing a few more signs. We do have set signs on Crestway, on Mid-Crown. They have helped reduce speeders. They don't eliminate them, but they have helped reduce. What I'm looking at now, they cut off at a certain speed. We don't need people out there trying to test these signs, and kids will do it. Younger kids in cars will do it. They'll see if they can get it up to 100 or whatever. So they turn off. So they are working. We have we have a couple in the city that are working, and I am looking at buying a few more. I'm working on that right now.
Those signs I'm talking about, because I drove through Alamo Heights one day, and all kinds of red stuff came on. Said, "You are speeding."
Yes, we can fix them
4
to
miles
show
over
your
something.
speed.
It was all red, and it said, "Whoa!" So are those expensive?
Well, they all vary in price from three to 8,000 a piece. But in what they do for us, they gather data for us. And they do have some ability to not produce a speed, but actually tell you to slow down. Instead of showing your speed, they'll just say slow down if it's a certain point. And it allows us to set them at a certain speed. So if it's a 20-mile zone, we can set it to go off at 25. Because not everybody coming through is going to be going exactly 20. They may be going 19. They may be going 21. But that allows a little bit of flexibility there instead of just constantly going off at 21 and then shutting the unit down because it's going off all the time. But they do work. We do have several earmarked this fiscal year, and I'm also working on getting some purchased right away to put out. We're going to address some issues on Eagle Crest as well.
So for this, what I'm, obviously bringing up because of people being really concerned, the mobile one would be the better one to set up?
Well, I have a speed trailer that we put out at various locations. It was just finished on Crestway. We put that out. It's a big message board. But the smaller ones you see that are fixed on Crestway on Mid-Crown, that's the type of unit we'll be putting out. They're solar capable, and we don't need to hook them up to electricity. So.
Because I recall the lady here in the front seat, front chair, she was also saying that there's all kinds of speeding going on. So.
We do have speeders in Windcrest, and you can see by the number of citations we write every year, over 7,000. But yeah, we do target the speeders, and it's an important reason why Windcrest you see so many walkers out here is because they do feel safe, and we do address those seriously.
Do we have one of these on Mid-Crown?
We have two. Two on Mid-Crown, yes, sir. One going both directions. One's here just after Golf Crest, and one is up right around Spaceway.
Because they do get my attention.
Yes, they do.
Back in the day, I would try to find out how fast I could go.
Yes, and we have them shut off at a certain speed, but they do. A lot of people coming through are either they're on their phone when they shouldn't be, they're distracted, but when they see that light go off, they do realize, oh, I'm going too fast. They slow down, and that's the majority of what we're seeing. You're going to get people that ignore it and continue to speed, and we try to get those people and get them cited so that they do learn their lesson not to be speeding in our city.
And this is really not a comment, but it's an invitation. I was calling around to TxDOT about all this equipment and all this traffic stuff, and a guy told me, he says, Frank, why aren't y'all going to the Traffic Expo? The 2018 Annual Convention Traffic Expo has all that kind of stuff. And the good thing is public officials are free. Any of us can go free. But I think you got to pay something unless you're a member. But you may want to go to learn about some of the new stuff. It may not. I would invite you to consider this. I wanted to give this to you.
Okay.
And this is, 26th January, and there may be something there new. But
Yeah, and I would add, I'll get that from you. I do get updates through the International Association of Chiefs of Police, and as well as the Texas Police Chiefs Association, and work with the other Alamo area chiefs as well on new technology that's coming out to help us calm traffic.
So the agenda item said 400 block and Windrock and Spindrift and Meadow Grove. Is it safe to say that you don't need any additional guidance, that you have this as far as do you need anything from us to proceed?
No, sir. And I'm gonna present those, get those quotes finished. I'll get them to the city manager. They'll be under 10,000, so we won't have to come back to council. I can act on those quickly. But I do have some also earmarked in the WCC PD funds for fiscal year 17-18 as well.
I don't know that we need a motion. That's
No.
what I'm saying. You don't need any additional guidance. You're on this.
Yes, sir.
All right.
So you'll see more signs up and coming. Like I said, they don't stop speeding, but they do help calm traffic. They really, really do work. But we'll continue. We're going to continue to work traffic out there and cite people that need to be cited.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
And again, this is at the Henry B. Gonzalez Center, just downtown.
I appreciate that.
Next week.
Item number 11, City Council review and take action on animal control officers' equipment, i.e. purchase of special gloves to protect officers. Mr. Jacoby and Mr. McFall.
Yes, Chief Blue.
Oh, back to him.
Well, it's.
Oh, no, I didn't.
It's animal control.
No.
Chief Blue, could I?
Oh,
yes.
He's got the
Okay. This
Yes,
has
sir.
been. Oh, okay.
There's been some discussion about animal control officers not having the right equipment.
I'm
going to settle that
tell you,
tonight.
because the people don't know. This is to get extra gloves for the animal control people up to their elbows, I guess, so that when they catch the animals, they don't get scratched, bit, and whatever.
Yes. And the animal control officers utilize two types of gloves. These are the gloves.
Already have them.
They already have. Now, there is another glove that they make with a metal sleeve in it. However, my animal control officers who are certified do not like using them because they have injured animals, and they can't judge how much force they're using. So they cause injury to the animal. One of my animal control officers was recently bitten wearing these gloves. Was unaffected by the bite. And it was a cat that bit her.
Let me read you something real brief that was given to me. Real brief. Animal handling gloves are a crucial part of animal control as they keep the handler safe from bites, scratches, and exposure to diseases and bacteria. Gloves will help keep you and the domestic or wildlife animals safe during capture, removal, and transport. For general handling, gloves between 28 and 23 inches.
What is that about?
Okay.
And they have these available 24/7 for their use, so they are covered and protected. And these are their choice. These were personally chosen by our certified animal control officers, because I am not a certified animal control officer, but I do know that what they need, and they get what they need. So
their choice of either using or not, and if they do get whatever bit or scratch, whatever, that's...
Yes. And the main goal is to protect the animal as well, to be as safe with the animal to keep from being bit, but also to provide safety for the animal, because our goal is to get the animal under control and get them safe and not to hurt them.
But I think what you're also saying, though, is what they're using is compliant with whatever.
Yes, sir.
Whatever rules that go with, So they're not even if they're wearing that leather, whatever they're wearing, they're complying with whatever the rules are.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other questions on that?
We don't need that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm going to wait till you get back to your seat and ask you another one. Okay, item, and I don't know if this falls under what we had earlier, but 12, City Council will discuss and waive, discuss.
That was part of the other ones, no action.
Okay, no action on 12.
Okay.
Item number 13, Ms. Dotson, you still here? You're up. Whew, thank you. All right, item number 13, City Council will review and discuss, may take action on authorizing city manager request bids for restrooms at Takis Park, Windcrest, Little League Fields, attachment 27. Mr. Castillo.
Mayor and council members, I have Mr. Young here to provide you all with a presentation here that's been going on this project for about a year already. And we believe we're ready to ask the council to give us permission to go and get quotes or go out for bids on the improvements to make the restrooms at Takis Park ADA compliance. And this would also include removing the porta potty that's out there.
Please.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, Council, the presentation that you had before you is a presentation that we gave to previous council, where we switched from going with a portable restroom facility to a restroom facility that expands the restroom for the Little League. As a part of that project, we recommended that the concession stand be expanded. The Little League would have better use. We also recommended the renovation of the roof. Council accepted that recommendation. We have an architect that we've been working with to develop the plans for the concession renovation, for the roof repair, and for expansion of the restroom. The estimated cost of the improvements is $140,000, and what we're asking for is to be able to go out for bids from contractors to do the work. We brought back a presentation to council. I don't think we include that in the package.
It's in there.
Some of the renderings of the building itself.
Yeah, it's at the very bottom.
There we go. But that's kind of the site. That's kind of the renderings of what the architect had suggested. We don't think the costs are going to change, but remember, from the first item, we were just going to go with a portable facility, and it was just going to be a restroom. Now we're able to take care of roof. We're able to take care of of the restroom issue and the concession issue. The plans would go out for bids approximately February the 5th, and they would remain out for a total of 3 weeks. That concludes my presentation. I'm trying to make it as brief as possible. I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
I just got a brief question. This is not budgeted on this year's budget, right?
It is a budgeted line item. Yes, sir.
Budget. We have money dedicated for this.
Yes, sir.
How much do we have budgeted for this?
I think it's about 145, Mr. Artola.
Is a total? Yeah.
Is that it? Okay.
Yeah, it's budgeted. Yes, sir.
Let's make sure we got money.
No.
That's all.
One thing I do need to mention, because it was important to council, and I know it's important to you all, we've been working with the Little League and keeping them aware of the plans. One of the things that we're doing for the Little League, their season is starting. They need their concessions to generate revenue. We're brought on board an electrician that will actually convert one of the storage areas into a temporary concession so that they can continue to conduct their business. They can still play. Now, during the sometime during the season when we're doing construction, there will probably be a temporary restroom as well out there so that they can continue with their activities. But we're trying to do it in a way that we won't interfere with any of the activities that they have ongoing. And we're trying to set up a meeting, I believe, Wednesday to between the electrical contractor and the Little League to finalize everything to make sure they're okay with what we propose.
Would there be any timing that you could do that would not disrupt anything?
We spent a lot of time met on site with them, Mr. Mayor, and this works for them.
Okay, that's fine.
We had a lot of options spread out there, but they were very gracious and it was very good communication.
So you've met with the Little League and they're fine. Okay, perfect. All right.
Working together.
Perfect. Okay, so is there a motion to number 13?
I move that we authorize the city manager to request bids for the restrooms at Takis Park Little League fields.
Thank you.
Second.
I second it.
Thank you. All right, it's moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Good. Passes. Item number 14, City Council will review and to discuss and may take action on a request from Jack Lenhart about reimbursement of his legal fees. Mr. Shelton.
I remove that at this time.
Okay. Item number 15, City Council will review and discuss and may take action on redefining the newsletter committee. Mr. Shelton.
Based on the conversations, I move that we dissolve the Windcrest Newsletter Committee and replace it with the newsletter volunteers.
Okay, I'll second that.
Okay, it's moved and seconded that we dissolve the newsletter committee and replace it with the newsletter volunteers. Is that correct? Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. That's done. Okay. All right, it is 8:37. We will now adjourn to executive session. City Council will convene a closed session as authorized Section 551.074 Texas Government Code to discuss an employment contract for Rafael Castillo, Jr., City Manager.
I forgot about the executive session. I was getting ready to go home.
Yeah, me too.